year was 1978, and the rains had come early to St. Mary's Girls' Boarding School in Ibadan, Nigeria. The campus, with its towering colonial buildings and sprawling courtyards, carried a sense of age, discipline, and something else, something unspoken. The students whispered stories when the matrons weren't listening, tales of shadows moving in empty corridors, of footsteps in places where no one should be. But nothing was more terrifying than the living nightmare that walked among them. Her name had been forgotten, buried under years of fear and silence. To the girls, she was simply known as Madame Koikoi. She was beautiful, yet monstrous, her face always set in a mask of cold authority. She dressed impeccably, starched blouses, stiff skirts, and a voice like crushed glass. But most of all, she was known for the red heels she wore, heels that clicked like a slow, deliberate warning. Koi, koi, koi. The sound haunted the students, a reminder of her merciless punishments. Girls bore the proof of her cruelty, hand-shaped bruises from her slaps, welts from her cane, and the shame of public humiliation. But no one dared to defy her, until one fateful rainy night. It was past midnight, and the dormitory was silent, save for the sound of raindrops drumming against the old tin roof. The 5 girls lay in their bunks, wide awake, eyes gleaming in the dim candlelight. Nikkei was the boldest. She sat up first. "We're doing this." Ebera grinned and rolled onto her side. "She's not going to walk around like a queen anymore." Chinwei swallowed nervously, looking toward the door. "What if she hears us?" Amiena clutched her bedsheet. "What if she catches us?" Folake, always the quiet observer, finally spoke. "Then we run." Moments later, the 5 girls were creeping barefoot down the corridor, their breath held as they pushed open the door to Madame Koikoi's office. The air inside was heavy, too still, like it had been waiting for them. A locked drawer in the old wooden desk sat before them like a sealed tomb. Nikkei pulled a rusty pin from her hair and set to work. Amiena clenched her hands, whispering a quiet prayer under her breath. Click. The drawer slid open. Inside, resting atop aged papers and a cracked hand mirror, lay the red heels. They gleamed like fresh blood, their polished surface reflecting the moonlight spilling in from the window. Ibera reached in first, her fingers brushing over the cool leather. "She thinks she owns us," she whispered. "Let's watch her crawl." With the stolen shoes clutched in their hands, the girls fled into the courtyard, their hearts pounding like war drums. The rain had eased into a gentle mist, but the wind howled through the trees, sending the lantern flames into a frantic dance. Ebea struck a match. The first heel caught fire, the flames licking hungrily at the leather, curling it into ash. The second followed. As the fire grew, its flickering glow cast long, twisting shadows against the chapel walls. But something was wrong. One shadow didn't belong to them. A tall, distorted silhouette stood on the chapel roof, watching. A wave of cold dread washed over them. Folake turned to run, but before she could move, a scream tore through the night. Not from them, from her. A deafening thunderclap shook the ground as a gust of wind snuffed out the fire. The girls stumbled backward, their lungs struggling against the sudden chill in the air. Then, "Koi, koi, koi." The sound came from nowhere and everywhere at once, an invisible force, clicking steadily across the wet cobblestones. And then, she appeared. She was barefoot, yet the sound of her heels still echoed as she moved. Her eyes burned with something beyond rage, a fury so ancient, so consuming, it felt inhuman. "Thieves!" she hissed, her voice slithering like smoke through the air. The girls screamed and scattered. Chinwei ran for the stairs, her wet feet slipping against the stone. Madame Koikoi followed. Faster, faster. Chinwei barely made it to the top when a hand grabbed her shoulder. She turned and saw nothing, only a blur of red and black before she lost her footing. The world spun. A sickening crack. Blood spread across the cold marble floor like a blooming flower, a final ragged breath. And then, silence. Madame Koikoi lay motionless, her body twisted at an unnatural angle. Her lips curled into a smile as her last words slithered into the darkness. "I will return, and you will all suffer." At dawn, the groundskeepers worked quickly. There was no funeral, no marker, no prayers, just an unmarked grave behind the chapel, dug deep into the wet earth. They tossed one surviving red heel into the pit before covering her with soil. By the time the students woke, it was as if she had never existed. The school carried on. The whispers faded. But then, the next morning, a groundskeeper disappeared. By the end of the week, 3 more students vanished. Their bunks left perfectly made, their shoes filled with blood. And when the headmistress went to inspect the grave, she found it empty. The legend spread across Ibadan, across Nigeria, across generations. New schools, new students, north, west, south, and east. The same familiar sound in the dead of night. Koi, koi, koi. A whisper in the dark. Where are my shoes? And then a knock at the door. If you hear it, don't open it. Don't speak. Don't breathe. Because once Madame Koikoi chooses you, she will never stop coming. Within weeks of Madame Koikoi's death, the halls of St. Mary's Girls' Boarding School became a theater of nightmares. Inike, a timid 12-year-old with wide, watchful eyes, first heard the koi, koi, koi on a moonless night. The sound crept under her dormitory door, sharp and deliberate, like nails tapping against marble. Her breath hitched as she shook her bunkmate Amara awake, their shared lantern casting jagged shadows on the walls. The hallway, when Nike dared to peek, stretched into darkness, its end swallowed by an inky void. But there, silhouetted against a cracked window, stood a figure, a woman in a tattered dress, one foot bare, the other clad in a red heel gleaming like fresh blood. Inike's scream tore through the silence, summoning teachers who found nothing but a single red heel nailed to her door, its stiletto driven deep into the wood like a warning. The disappearances began swiftly. Amina, a quiet girl who found solace in sketching, vanished 2 nights later. Her notebook, discovered under her pillow, told a chilling story. The first pages held hesitant pencil strokes, a shadowy figure at the edge of a hallway. Each subsequent sketch grew bolder, more detailed, the woman's hollow eyes, the jagged tear in her dress, the way her bare foot left smudges of ash on the floor. The final drawing, half finished, showed the figure standing at the foot of Amina's bed, a skeletal hand reaching out. Teachers dismissed it as a child's nightmare, until Folake, a defiant 14-year-old, was found in the abandoned West Wing. The West Wing had been sealed for decades, its doors warped by humidity and neglect. Folake's body lay curled in a corner, her fingers reduced to raw, bloody stumps. The stone walls around her bore deep gouges, as though she'd clawed at them for hours. Her final rasp, whispered to a janitor who stumbled upon the scene, echoed like a curse. She's in the walls. The staff burned her bedding and scrubbed the floors, but the metallic tang of blood lingered. The chapel became a tomb of its own when Ebere, once the ringleader of the shoe theft, was found hanging from its rafters. A red heel dangled from her ankle, its strap knotted tight. Her face, frozen in a rictus of terror, stared blankly at the pews below. Students swore they heard the koi, koi, koi echo through the chapel long after her body was cut down, a sound that dripped with grim satisfaction. By 1985, St. Mary's closed its doors, its reputation in tatters, but the curse, now unshackled, slithered into the world. Years later, at Queen's College in Lagos, 3 girls, Temi, Bisi, and Chioma, giggled their way into horror. Armed with a Ouija board stolen from a novelty shop, they huddled in a bathroom at midnight, their phones casting eerie blue light on the tiles. Temi, bold and brash, traced the planchette's edge. "Madame Koikoi," she chanted, her voice dripping with mock reverence. "Give us a sign." The air thickened. Bisi's laughter died as the planchette jerked violently, spelling WHERE before the lights died. When they flickered on, the mirror reflected a woman behind them, her hands resting on their shoulders. Temi's scream echoed off the tiles. The next morning, their dorm beds lay empty. The sinks overflowed with rust-colored water, its source a mystery. Teachers scrubbed the bathroom raw, but students whispered of bloody footprints leading to the mirror, as though something had stepped through. In Owerri, at Federal Government College, janitor Chukwu's curiosity cost him his life. A closet in the East Wing, long sealed, emitted a metallic stench. Inside, he found a tower of red heels, all left feet, stacked like kindling. The air hummed with malice. Days later, his corpse was discovered in the same closet, his right foot severed cleanly at the ankle. Flies swarmed the wound, and the heels, now slick with blood, seemed to shift and whisper when the lights dimmed. At the University of Abajis, a group of occult enthusiasts, led by Zainab, a philosophy major obsessed with urban legends, attempted to trap Madame Koikoi. They lit black candles, smeared goat's blood on a mirror, and chanted incantations scrawled in a 19th century grimoire. The mirror cracked on the final syllable. Glass shards erupted, slicing Zainab's throat. Security footage, later leaked online, showed a shadow pooling beneath her body before dragging it into the mirror's fractured surface. The remaining members fled, but their dorm rooms reeked of burnt leather for weeks. By 2023, the curse evolved, weaving itself into the digital age. A TikTok livestream titled Ghost Hunting at St. Mary's captured 4 teens exploring the school's ruins. Deji, the ringleader, smirked at the camera. "Madame Koikoi is a joke," he declared, kicking a rotting desk. The screen glitched. Viewers glimpsed a skeletal hand, its fingers fused with rusted nails, yanking Deji into a crumbling wall. His scream cut abruptly to static. The video amassed 1 million views before vanishing. Though copies surfaced on dark web forums, their pixels warped into something resembling a face. That same year, passengers on a Lagos to Enugu night bus learned the true meaning of dread. The koi began as a faint tapping on the roof. Chidi, the driver, shrugged it off as rain. But when frost spiderwebbed the windows in July's swelter, panic erupted. The doors sealed shut. A woman in red materialized at the aisle's end, her steps syncing with the passengers' racing heartbeats. Survivors found wandering the highway at dawn spoke of her voice, a static-laden rasp that seeped from the speakers. "Warmer, you're getting warmer." The curse, now unbound, thrived in the spaces between signal and static, a digital phantom fed by fear. Madame Koikoi's legend, once confined to schoolyard whispers, became a global reckoning, a reminder that some hatreds outlive flesh and some echoes never fade. Then came the app. It arrived without fanfare, just another innocuous download in an ocean of digital noise. The name was simple: Find My Shoes, a novelty game that promised an augmented reality treasure hunt. No one questioned its origins. No one asked who made it. It spread like wildfire, climbing to the top of the download charts overnight. At first, it seemed harmless. Users reported eerie but thrilling experiences, shadows moving just out of sight, whispers barely audible over their headphones. The app would send cryptic messages at precisely 3 a.m. "You're getting warmer." Then the footsteps would start. At first, they seemed distant, coming from the streets, the hallway, the floor below. But with each message, they drew closer. Users would wake to find their doors ajar, their windows unlatched, their belongings slightly displaced. A shoe missing, a heel snapped, and then came Lola. She was 19, a student in Abuja, known for her late-night live streams. When she downloaded Find My Shoes, she thought it was another viral prank. She went live at exactly 2:59 a.m., waiting for the infamous message. It came. "You're getting warmer." Her phone vibrated violently in her hands. The sound of heels clicking echoed through her small apartment. Koi. Lola laughed nervously, showing her screen to her viewers. "Who else is playing this?" she asked, tilting the camera. A shadow flickered across her screen. She froze. Behind her, the closet door creaked open an inch at a time, revealing absolute blackness beyond. A breathy whisper leaked from the speakers. "Found you." The viewers saw it before she did. A pale, slender hand, reaching from the screen itself, fingers too long, nails too sharp, moving with impossible slowness. Then, a snap. Lola's head jerked unnaturally to the side. The feed cut to static. Her phone was discovered the next morning in a roadside ditch. Screen cracked, still recording. The video looped endlessly, her own lifeless eyes staring back at the camera, the faint sound of clicking heels playing in the background. It was no longer a game. By 2025, the phenomenon had spread across continents. Rumors swirled through forums, desperate theories emerging from the depths of the internet. Some claimed Find My Shoes was an elaborate hoax. Others believed it was something far older, something that had simply found a new way to hunt. And then there was Temi, A rising name in cybersecurity, Temi was known for exposing deep web mysteries. She took an interest in the app, dissecting its code, unraveling its origins. What she found made her blood run cold. The app wasn't connected to any known servers. It had no visible creators, and embedded deep within its code was a single corrupted file, koi.exe. It wasn't a virus, it wasn't malware, it was something worse. She's not in one place, Temi wrote in her final blog post. She's in the code, the signals, the static. 3 hours later, Temi's laptop exploded in a burst of fire and shrapnel. Her apartment burned to the ground. There were no remains. That same night, a primetime news anchor scoffed at the hysteria during a live broadcast. "This is nothing but mass paranoia," she announced, rolling her eyes. "A recycled ghost story for the digital age." Her co-anchor chuckled. The audience at home nodded along. Then, without warning, the studio lights died. The screen glitched. Across the nation, televisions filled with static. Then, the picture returned. But the anchor was no longer alone. Something stood behind her, barely visible in the dim emergency lighting. A figure in red. The outline of a smile, stretched too wide, a head tilted at an unnatural angle. The camera zoomed in, whether by accident or something unseen. The figure leaned closer. The anchor's microphone picked up a whisper, dry and rasping, crawling through the speakers. "Your turn." The feed cut. When the crew restored power minutes later, the anchor sat motionless, eyes wide, body slumped against the desk. She was dead. A single red heel was strapped to her lifeless hand. The station never aired the footage again, but people had seen. Somewhere in Cairo, a teenage girl downloaded Find My Shoes on a dare. She laughed at the warnings, at the urban legends, at the paranoia. She opened the app. Her screen flickered. For a split second, the front camera didn't show her own reflection. It showed a woman in red. The sound started, slow and deliberate. Koi, koi, koi. The girl's phone slipped from her fingers. The figure's jaw unhinged, opening far wider than humanly possible, swallowing the screen in endless static. Miles away, a cell tower hummed, a server blinked, and across the world, phones vibrated at exactly 3 a.m. "You're getting warmer," and the clicks grew louder. The screen fades to black. For a long moment, there is only silence. Then a faint sound, soft, deliberate. Click, then another. Click, click, click. The sound grows louder, steady, rhythmic, echoing in the darkness like footsteps on a marble floor. Koi, koi, koi. A distorted voice crackles through the silence, barely above a whisper. "You're getting warmer." A flicker of static flashes across the screen, brief but unsettling. The silence stretches again, holding its breath. Then a vibration, a dozen, 100, 1,000,000. Across the world at exactly 3 a.m., phones hum in unison. Screens flicker, glitch, distort. Somewhere, a radio hisses, its signal warping into something unnatural. A cell tower pulses in the night, red warning lights blinking in eerie synchronization. The voice returns, closer this time. "Did you think she was gone?" A deep, echoing thud. Something heavy, unseen shifts in the shadows. "Did you think you were safe?" The screen flashes, an image too fast to process. A silhouette just out of focus, a figure in red, a cruel, twisted smile. Another thud, closer, the clicking heels now deafening. Koi, koi, koi. The screen distorts, static crackling, the image breaking apart. Then, just before everything goes dark again, one final message appears in blood-red letters, glitching, stretching across the screen. She never left. The text flickers once, twice, then black, silence, until a single final whisper seeps through the void. "Your turn." The end.